success of the kicker making a kick yesterday than it was actually about the kicker actually, um, missing a field goal as well too, because the Browns were really close to losing that game yesterday if they didn't get that kick late. So, things like that happen, but it's all good. It's all good. It's Monday. It's time to go ahead and get into the aftermath of week 11. And man, week 11 did bring us some great theater, as I always like to say. So pretty much let's go ahead and jump into our first topic, which is going to be which is going to be the Bolt report. The Chargers lose on walk-off field goal. They were part of the walk-off field goal other side of things. Walk-off field goal as Lions come to SoFi and win 41-38. The Lions came into this game and they were absolutely focused on the task at hand after they had pretty much went ahead and they pretty much went ahead and just after they went ahead and pretty much laid an egg there against the Ravens a few weeks back. They came back and pretty much righted that wrong. You know what I mean? Because they did not look good against AFC teams this year. They beat up on the Raiders, but they just, to me, did not look like as good against the AFC because they only beat the Chiefs by 1. They beat the Raiders by 12. Then they were able to get a good win yesterday over the Chargers, beating them by 3. But they came out and they dominated early. They jumped out on the Chargers early, 24-10. Chargers were able to erase that deficit, make the game 24 up. Then when you looked up, the Chargers, they went back and forth once again. The Chargers give up a touchdown, they score a touchdown. Chargers give up a touchdown, they score a touchdown. Final possession comes down to the Lions having it, and boom, what happens? The Lions go ahead and win the game by 3. California native Amon St. Brown was absolutely tremendous yesterday. He had 8 catches for 156 yards and a touchdown as well, too. He was pretty much unstoppable, and they did set it up for him to where it was really easy for him to dominate yesterday as well, too. Also, they got some good and he was really the only receiver yesterday that really put a dent in the Chargers defense. But David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs were absolutely tremendous in the running game yesterday. Montgomery went for 116 on 12 carries, while Gibbs got 77 yards on 14 carries. Gibbs scored 2 touchdowns. Montgomery scored 1 touchdown and had a 75-yard scamper as well, too. So that was absolutely tremendous, and that was the difference in the game yesterday, that the run for the Lions was able to go and keep being active. The Chargers had a pretty decent run game as well, too. Eckler on 19 carries, 67 yards. Josh Kelly, 16 yards with 5 carries yesterday. So they were a little bit under 100 when it came to total running backs, but then they got some yards out of Herbert as well, too. So they actually finished up with 98 rushing yards, and that just was the difference compared to the 200 that the Lions had. Now, Herbert did dominate in the passing game, 27 of 40 yesterday for 323 yards, 4 touchdowns, 114.9 QBR as well, too. Did very well, but you know what? Jared Goff, as I said to Jeff on the show last week, Jared Goff was promised SoFi to be his house, but the plan changed, and pretty much he came back to go ahead and confirm that SoFi is still the house that Jared Goff built. Well, kind of, it's really the house that Stan Kroenke and his crew built, but who was on their team at the time as their starting quarterback, who led their team to the Super Bowl of the year before they went to SoFi. Yes, Jared Goff. So Jared Goff gets 2 touchdowns when it goes 23 for 33 yesterday, 333 yards, and he was just tremendous yesterday. But yesterday, both teams were not able to get to the quarterback. That's what I felt was like really the reason why we had a 41-38 game and why these defenses really couldn't get off the field against each other yesterday. So this was a really, really good game, and it goes back to now everybody talking about Brandon Staley being fired. Brandon Staley, they need to move on. I say that you don't have to move on from a coach that keeps losing close games during the season. There's no point of doing that. He is a guy that you can go ahead and evaluate everything with him at the end of the year, because the Chargers, once again, are the best 4-5 team you'll ever see in your life. They're probably the only 4 and 5 team right now, though. If you had an open playoff and they just get hot and they get rolling, they could possibly win that because they have the talent to be a top 5 team in the NFL. Thing is, though, they just can't get right. And it all goes back to the back end of this defense. It's been the problem since last year when they gave up a 27-point lead to the Jaguars. So there's a lot of things that they has to be fixed with the Chargers when it comes to the little things. But they have one of the better front sevens, even though they didn't get to the quarterback yesterday. They're second in sacks. They're one of the best in the league. They also have a very decent offensive line, but they need to do a little bit better holding Justin Herbert up as well, too. So the Chargers next week go to Green Bay to play against the Packers, while the Lions continue to make their moves, and they have themselves kind of an easy game next week in their spot where they're playing against, and I had it too. They're playing against the Bears. So that's a divisional game. So you know what? You really can't sit up there and say, oh, they got that one. So pretty much with that, that's going to be a wrap on the Bolt Report. We'll have more about the Chargers tomorrow when we talk on NFL Bet Exchange, and more about the Lions when we talk on NFL Bet Exchange. So let's move forward and get into our next. And the Browns make a big comeback and shock Ravens 33-31 in Baltimore. So now the Browns find themselves tied for second place in the AFC North. They're now 2-2 as well. Same record as the Ravens, who lost